We bought an apartment that doesn't exist yet. Let me explain. I got a message this week from a woman who just arrived in Brno. A friend of someone. The connection doesn't matter. What she asked does. She asked how long before the language stops feeling like a wall. She asked if the loneliness gets better. She asked if she had made a mistake. I knew those questions, not recognized them, but knew the specific weight of them. You see, that used to be me. 2 years ago, I arrived in Brno with a suitcase and a very specific idea of who I was. That's the arrival archive. And then there was season 1. It's done. And I want to tell you where things actually are standing right now. Because where things are standing is complicated. And a little bit scary. So, we bought an apartment. We don't live in it yet. And we won't live in it for 2 years because it's not even built yet. And I'm going to tell you the whole thing. Because honestly, I need to talk about it to someone, and you're here, and so things are done very differently here. So here's what we've done so far. We paid a reservation fee. That gets you into the process. Gets your name on the unit. And then we signed the SOSBK. That's the purchase contract. And we paid the stage 2 payment. Those things are done. The money's gone. It exists now as a foundation somewhere on the edge of Brno. Now, stage 3 and stage 4 are in 2027. And then if everything goes according to plan, and I want to be honest with you about how that phrase is doing a whole lot of work right now. We move in sometime, maybe spring 2028. And between now and then, we have to sell this apartment. This one, spring or summer of 2027. We have an agent, we have a plan, we have a contract that requires us to complete the purchase whether or not we have sold this place. So that's fine. Everything's fine. But can I tell you about the math? Because I really want to tell you about the math. For that, we're going to have to step into my kitchen lab. So, what I thought, for example, let's just use an easy number like 100. Let's say it costs 100 anything. So now, we're going to start with an easy number, say 100. 100 anything. 100 anything. You put 20% down, and that's 20. Normal, leftover, the balance is 80%. 80% left, okay? Now, to make it easier, we're going to go to the 50% structure. Okay? Now, from 20 to 50, you think that it would be just an additional 30% to give you that 50%. To give you the 50%, right? So, that would leave you a 50% balance. Correct? Well, that's normal math. I'm going to show you Czech property math. So let's erase this. You have your 100% of anything. 20% is 20. 20. There you go. 20, right? Now, let's say our next milestone is 50%. You would think the 20 plus the 30% would bring you to the 50% milestone. And then you have 50% left, a balance of the property left to pay. But no, what they do is you put the 20% down, then you get to your next milestone, say it's 50%, right? They want 50% of the total price. Your 20% is just as if you've never paid anything. It just disappears. So by the time you've paid the 20% and you've paid the 50%, you have now paid 70% of the property at the 50% milestone. Then if you have another percentage, let's just say 60% by a certain time, you don't just go from to add 10 more percent to that to get to 70. You will have to pay 60% of the whole 100, which would be 60 or $60,000 if you're just saying thousands. So that would be 60,000. Okay, so you can see how exactly the math works. Whatever you've put down in the beginning just totally disappears and it's gone. Nobody explains this before you sign the reservation agreement. Nobody thinks to explain it because everyone here already knows it. It's simply how it's done.
That's not what the contract says.
We found out when we read the S1.E12. I'm not saying it's wrong exactly. I'm saying it was a surprise, a significant one. The kind when you do the math 3 times because you're sure you made an error. And then there's the world. And Mr.
3, 2, 1.
We made this decision, a large, irreversible financial decision, into a world that is not stable right now. I don't need to explain that to you. You know what I mean. And I don't regret it. I want to be clear about that. But I also want to be honest that there are mornings when I look at what we've committed to, and the gap between now and 2028 feels very wide and very uncertain. We're excited. That's also true. Both things are true, and they sit next to each other every day. So that's season 2. This is what it's going to be about. Maybe less constructive, more of this. The apartment, the contracts, the payments, the waiting, the selling, the moving, the city we live in while all of that's happening. The real version of what it means to actually stay somewhere and to bet on it. But before I go, there are 3 things that I wish someone had told me before we signed anything. 1, understand how the percentages actually work here before you commit, not how you assume they work. Not normal math. Ask someone who's done it to walk you through it. Because once that money's gone, you're in. We did have a lawyer look over our contract. But she said, it's weighted mostly for the builder, something you can do. And 2, the payment schedule in the S1.E12 is not always fixed. Some builders will negotiate the amounts and the timing. Before you sign, ask. It's worth asking. It works for us. And 3, know the penalties that go both ways. Like, what happens if your payment arrives late? Not if you don't pay, but if the bank transfer takes longer than expected. Build in those extra days. The contract doesn't care why the money was late. And know what happens if they don't finish on time. These clauses exist in the contract to heavily benefit them. Make sure it's in yours. And I thought you should know what we know now that we didn't know then.
For the record, I'm not gone. I'm just less omniscient than previously advertised. I'm the voice she hears at 2 in the morning when the math doesn't add up. Her alter ego, possibly. I've always been that. I'll be here when she needs me. She usually needs me around the 3rd time she does the math.
Did you hear something? I'll keep you posted.